Welcome, everybody, to the Dynasty Football Diner. I'm your host, Dan. It is November the 12th, 2024, and it was a beautiful day today. Joined, as always, by my co-host, Carrie. How you doing today, bro?
I thought there for a second you're going to forget about me again. I'm like the guy who doesn't get scheduled for work, but shows up anyway, apparently. Anyway, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a lovely day. I went golfing again this weekend. It was great.
Man, you've been golfing a lot, dog.
I've been hurting my back a lot on the golf course. I'll tell you what, this is off topic. The place we went to is very local, lies to where I live at.
Uh-huh.
And when I set up the tee time earlier in the week, Monday for a Saturday, they didn't tell me that there was an event going on. Okay. So we get there, we pay up. They didn't tell us anything because, we had a lot of rain. They didn't tell us anything about staying on the cart path or nothing. So we go to the first tee box, get yelled at by somebody saying that we're doing it wrong. They're not telling everybody you're supposed to start on the back nine. So we're like, okay, whatever. Go start on the back nine, get all the way down. It's a hole 16, right? Hole 16. We get yelled at by somebody who lives on the golf course, yelling at us, cart path only. It means, and the guys I were with, they're like, yeah, well, it's like, no, it's not. They didn't say anything about that. He goes, well, it is. I'm calling the damn clubhouse. And so that was the thing. We get up to the 16th hole, we putt, and there's a person there. We thought we were in trouble. Turns out they have an event, and they close off the hole 17 and 18. So you got to ride back up to the clubhouse, start on the front nine, okay, and then play through the front nine, and then come back and then play holes 1 and 2 again to get your full 18. Because of this, we get up to the tee box. There was 30 carts in front of us.
Literally?
Because these are people who were making the same turn we were making or playing through, then coming back around and trying to play the first tee box again.
30 carts in front of you?
Yeah, I counted them because it's right at the bar restaurant area, and I'm counted.
Dude.
Yeah. So half of our foursome left, and me and the other guy, we just said, we'll just go play the back nine again. So we did, and that was that.
Dude, what are they doing?
It's poor management.
Very poor management.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my golf experience. Won't be going back there for quite a while.
This has been this is the final week of my 6-week busy, like, balls to the wall stretch.
Yeah.
So I'm limping in, not gonna lie. I've been fighting this cold. And unfortunately, this is the most important event, was the last one.
It's always like that, isn't it?
Yeah, me and this celebrity chef are doing a little supper club dinner together, so I'm totally pumped about it. But damn, dude, I just want it to be over.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And we're using my favorite farm on the whole planet. So all in all, good times, but just ready for this week to be over.
Yeah, no kidding.
Next time we record, I might just sound like a corpse of myself because it's just everything finished. My mom's coming in town this weekend, even just to throw an extra little speed bump in the whole smoothness of things. Like,
it's always good to see moms, though.
Well, of course, that's what I mean. None of this is bad. None of it is like I'm mad about. It's just I'm just ready for it to be over.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Speaking of ready for it to be over, boy, the trade deadline is coming up, and I'm telling you, I'm wore out.
We've been wheeling and dealing,
baby. So before we get into this, I want to invite everybody. Please hit us up on IG and X at DFD_podcast. Subscribe, share with a friend. Let them know what the good or bad things we're doing. If that's your opinion, it helps us out. If you are listening to this, you already know it's probably YouTube and Spotify at DFD Podcast. And we're trying to grow our Facebook at DFD Pod. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a rating and a review.
Comment. Please comment.
Please drop a comment. We like that. Not only does it help us create content, but it helps the overlords of the algorithm, get to the top of some feeds of some new diners, potential diners that we really need right now.
Absolutely. Speaking of diners, I want to give a shout out. JW, one of the OG diners.
Shout out J-Dub.
Yeah, we're in a league with him, and me and him were chit chatting and stuff like that. And we're on our second season to a dynasty, and he says he's loving it. And yeah, man, I told him to give him a shout out. I love JW. He's so much fun to talk to. Even though, isn't he a Volunteers fan or something like that?
He is a Volunteers fan. We're not going to hold that against him.
I am, but
whatever. You can. I don't. Anyway. It's because I've known him so long now that I've learned to grow past that.
I'm still not past your Ohio State thing. But anyway, moving on.
The Ohio State.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if y'all noticed, but it's the only reason why he announces the Dynasty Diner that way. It's because it's the Dynasty Diner.
I would like to push back a little bit because that's not true, right? Because this is the Dynasty Football Diner, baby. There is no other diner like this, okay? There is none. If you, matter of fact, drop a comment in the comment section if you know of another diner that is like this, because there's not. There's not.
There is. They're literally called the Football Diner.
No,
anyways,
I refuse. All right, let's recap this weekend, baby. So let me give a little synopsis going into the episode, okay? Trading season part 2. This is big time, okay? But this is the week, in my opinion, and I believe yours too, homie, that this is where you need to know. It's shit or get off the pot time.
Yep.
This is where you need to know, are you in or you out? Okay? So before I read off my record, I got to say, I'm in 6 leagues. 3 of them I'm in. 3 of them I'm out. I went 3-3. I took a win in every league that mattered, right? So when I'm looking at my record, and, at first it's like, oh, damn, 3-3. Okay. But the wins are crucial because it's the 3 that I want to win. I want to be there. I'm all in. You went 5-2.
Yeah, I went 5-2. All my leagues I'm in. You know what I mean? I'm pushing.
Good for you, homie.
I'm pushing all my rosters in. I'm doing really, really well right now.
So you're all in every league you're in?
Just about, yeah.
And
just about.
Let's get it, baby.
Our OG original league, I'm pushing hard right now. Yeah, I'm trying to overcome injuries of other players that are affecting mine, and it is tough.
Yeah. In one of the leagues I'm in, I'm all in, and we'll talk about some of the trades too. But after starting 3-1, I lost 5 straight, and I was looking today, and I have the most points against out of anybody. So, guys, diners out there, listen, sometimes this is just the way the cookie crumbles.
It really is.
But I was not going to let it bring me down, okay? I'm still in because I love my team. I got a good team. And all you need to do is get in the playoffs, and then it will shake out as it may. Okay, guys? Don't give up. If you got to be really honest with yourself. You really got to look in the mirror, right? Because you got to look at your roster. Your record, there's different ways to go about this. Your record might show something good, and when you look in the mirror, you're like, you know what? If I'm being honest with myself, I can't win a chip. And sometimes it's the opposite, where you're like, you know what? My record would show that I am dog doo-doo. But when I look at my roster and you look at the rest of the season, it's like, you know what, though? All I got to do is get in the playoffs, and then let's throw down. Once you get in the playoffs, it's about weekly matchups. It is. Anybody can win any week when you get in the playoffs. You just got to get in the playoffs. So
make it.
That's right. Once you get in, anything can happen. So this is kind of the focus of the show today. We got a great show for y'all. We got so many trades.
Boy, did we.
We got so much just stuff to talk about. It's great. I'm so pumped for today's show. Should we just get into the diner?
Well, I just want to put something out there.
No, add on to it.
This is the week, like we talked about before in earlier episodes. Look, between weeks 9 and 12 are the weeks you need to sit down. You need to examine the schedule of your players because there's some bad bye weeks coming up.
I'm going to get into the bye weeks later.
Okay, we'll get into that, but you really need to pay attention to who's on what bye week.
And again, that goes into I think the first thing you need to figure out, in or out. Now's the time. Absolutely. Most trade deadlines are week 12, so we're heading into the last 2 weeks of trading season. You know, a lot of leagues, not a lot. This year I would say, you know, there's a lot of leagues that are actually all jumbled up.
Yeah, most of my leagues, if you're right between 3 and 6, most of them are just tied dead even.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's whoever has most points.
But some leagues out there, you know, the bottom part is already determined, and so you know that should make it even easier for you to figure out.
We got a guy that was in dead last, and he's won 3 in a row now, and he's up to 7th place. So I mean, if he keeps winning, he legitimately has a shot.
Crazy things have happened.
He legitimately has a shot at making the win.
That's right.
His team's not half bad.
So just remember that as we start discussing and pondering everything, you know, the key thing this week is in or out. You either got to go or get off the pot. That's what we're doing. All right, so let's get into it, boy. We have big news in the diner, baby. So we had talked about the Cooper Kupp trade last episode, and
did not disappoint.
And then, so you know, this week, actually yesterday, Kerry called me and he's like, "All right, so let's look at our running backs." And so we had talked about a lot of things, and we looked at maybe 3 or 4 different trade partners, and you know, identified the targets that we wanted. And we decided on 2, and boy, I tell you, we made a banger. It made the commissioner of the league irritated because he's at the top and he just hates to see us climb. You know, the haters are going to hate.
He literally told me, he dropped an F-bomb. He said, F you. Didn't push the trade through that night and wait until the next day to do it because he's messing with us.
Just out of
dude, because he was messing with us, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's a good trade, but I don't like the fact that you're stacking your team. That's bad news for me."
That's right. So we acquired Kyren Williams, and the full trade we did basically Kyren for a couple players and a pick swap. So the way it all shook out, the pick swap, we gave up a first for a second. Okay.
I honestly can't believe they gave us a second, to be honest with you.
Well, after the trade, I wish I would have tried. I think there's a chance that he was bluffing about the first. Maybe we could have got away with a second. But you know what? At the end of the day, dude, we got our guy.
We got the guy we wanted.
That's really all I gave a shit about.
Yeah, me too.
I just wanted our guy. But we got Kyren Williams, and we traded J.K. Dobbins and Trey Benson. Now, I am a Trey Benson fan. Okay.
Me too. I didn't want to.
No, that was probably the most begrudging part of this, even more than the first round pick.
Yeah, the original trade was for
Pollard
and Dobbins.
Yes, we were trying to package 2 running backs, 2 solid mid-tier running backs for a stud running back, and we sent that, and he wanted Trey Benson. So good for him, honestly. Like with our trade partner. That was a heady play. He got a first-round pick and Trey Benson, which in most rookie drafts, if you had already had a draft and you just did a rookie draft, Trey Benson, I drafted Trey Benson like in the first round in one of my rookie drafts.
Listen,
like I was high on Trey Benson.
If he's on your waivers, please throw every ounce of fab you got at him.
Yeah, you
For
know
real.
what? That's a good
I'm
shout.
I'm not joking.
Because I just assumed he wasn't on waivers, but
I
people,
assumed it too.
check
But
the waivers.
yeah, if Trey Benson for the Arizona Cardinals is on your waivers, throw everything you can at him because he's good and he's the backup to a team whose play system is through the running back. So
Good. That's a solid ass point, dude.
yeah, he's just not a starter right now. That's all. And he's got. I mean, eventually he will be in there one day, but he's a good person to pick up. So, but the reason why we decided to wanting to trade off Tony Pollard and J.K. Dobbins is because their counterparts are healthy and are back playing. So that's going to take away points from them, and we didn't want to be part of a committee.
Gus Bus looked good.
Yeah, so did Tajay Spears, didn't look too shabby either. But I mean, we wanted a workhorse running back. We didn't want a committee running back.
That's correct. When we decided what running backs we were going to target, we went down the NFL standing, or just the whole every NFL team, and it was basically check yes or no if they have one running back that gets all the work, and that list is very short.
It's very short.
Very short. So when we gathered our list, it was 4 players. It was Kamara, it was Kyron Williams, it was James Conner, and it was somebody else that's slipping my mind. However,
who did you say again?
There were 4. It was Kamara, Kyron, James Conner,
Breece Hall,
and Derrick Henry. No, it wasn't Breece because we had talked about Breece.
Okay, yeah.
But it was Derrick Henry.
Boy,
However,
got Derrick Henry. Oh, good.
Right. So, and Joe Mixon.
That
was the top 5.
Joe Mixon.
So now in this league, this owner had Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry on the same team, and unbeknownst to anybody, he's at the top of the leaderboard. So
yeah,
that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, give us one of your 2 best running backs. Okay?
Right. The reason you're in second place, you're not going to trade that away. But for Kyron, the Kyron owner was kind of at the bottom of the league right now, the league standings, and he needed some depth and he needed some picks. So it was a good trade. He got his youth and a pick, an earlier pick because it was a pick swap, but he got what he needed. And we got what we needed. So, these are the types of trades. We're going to get into this in a little bit about these whack-ass trades that are going through because I've seen so many. We're going to get into this in a minute because this is trade season part 2. But this trade, and if you really want healthy trade partners where, especially in Dynasty, you can go for years and years and years, and you got your go-tos. This needs to be a healthy trade for everybody, and that's what some people don't understand. But we found one. So
yes, we did. We found one we're real happy about. Sorry, Dan's feeling a little under the weather, and he just tried to hold in a cough, and it came out his nose, and it was it just killed all momentum right there.
That was terrible. Sorry, Diners.
Sorry about that. But it's always good to create a healthy relationship with trade partners and potential trade partners and stuff like that. Sometimes you're gonna have to give up. Sometimes you gotta give up more than what you want if you're pushing, like we are with the with our DFD team. We are pushing for a ship, so that's why we made the big trade for Cooper Kupp. That's why we overpaid for him. That's why we made the big trade for Kyron, which I wouldn't necessarily say it's overpay. It's pretty even, but it's losing Trey Benson was something we both desperately didn't want to do, but we needed to get out from under one of these committee backs.
Well, the other thing about that too was that we have Ray Davis.
Yeah, we do have Ray Davis.
So we were sitting nice with the young running backs with Ray Davis and Trey Benson.
We were foolish because we forgot we had Ray Davis when what was his name? Cook was out. And had we have played Ray Davis those 2 games, our record would look a lot different.
No. James Cook wasn't out.
Well, one game he went down. The second game, Ray Davis started. He was out with a toe thing.
Oh, yeah, that was on us. We
Yeah.
totally dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah. Well, no, he was deemed. I think he was deemed inactive for the game, and we weren't paying any attention to it. And then Ray Davis blew up. We're like, oh yeah, we got Ray Davis killed it. And then the next week we didn't pay attention to it again, and Ray Davis killed it again. So had we have played him, our record would be we'd have 2 more wins for sure. But anyway, just remember that when you're making trade partners in dynasties, hyper important. Okay, you don't want to be outcast by. You don't want to be the person wanting a Puka Nakua for James Conner. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like that because that's just ridiculous.
One of the ones I got, somebody reached out to me for Nico Collins, and they offered me Kareem Hunt, Tank Bigsby, and Jordan Whittington.
And that's not good. But I understand a lot of these people we play with have never either even played Dynasty or, are far fetched from the idea of you're not going to make it. Why are you wanting these big players for nothing? You know what I mean? It's just the concept.
Yeah,
but the concept of longevity of your team is new to some of them.
At some point, you have to understand the concept, right? We're in Dynasty.
Absolutely.
We're in a Dynasty, right? Like, this is probably the same guy who plays Madden 25 10 hours a day. Like, when you play GM mode, you wouldn't do that. Or maybe that's the problem. Maybe on Madden, that would work. But this is real life, homie. We're serious about this. So,
yeah,
I just shout out to all the people trying to make these trades. But I just feel like in the year of our Lord 2024, with fantasy football blowing up like it is, and especially Dynasty. Dynasty was a niche just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to come better. Like, my thing I was talking about to a fellow GM today was like, him and I are great trade partners, and we made great trades. Matter of fact, I'm going to get into one in a minute. But like, the first thing that I think about, dude, and I don't know if you do this, but I think about, would this happen in real life?
That's a good way to look at it.
Like, would the Houston Texans trade Nico Collins for freaking Tank Bigsby and Jordan Whittington? No. So,
not even close.
So these are the types of things that I try to look at first. That's my first thing. And then a lot of people, when you're trying to fleece, you don't think about the other side, right? So if you had Nico Collins and I offered you that, would you do it?
No.
And most of the time is no. But you're willing to send out that trade to me. That just doesn't make any sense. So but I'm telling you, man, in Dynasty Fantasy Football, the pool is getting much more smart. They're getting much more educated, and people are catching on. So, just stick with it, guys, and keep sending those trades out, right? Because no one wants a boring league. Trading is what. Matter of fact, we have a guy in our league. His name is I Live for Trades. This guy will trade anybody.
He will.
He tried to trade.
He tried to
anybody.
He tried to trade after the draft your entire draft lineup.
I mean, shout out to him.
It was crazy.
So
what? Why would I do that?
I live for trades, and you know what? I do too. I wouldn't change my name to that.
No,
on the low, I love trading. It's part of football, especially Dynasty Fantasy football, right? Like, this is what we do.
It's been part of my strategy this year because in the past years I've always traded my players early in the season before they ever got a chance to get going. Like I traded Raheem Mostert last year before the season even started. That was a mistake because he was the running back number 2.
Right.
But this year my strategy was, draft your team, see how far you make it on your drafted team by just picking players up on the waiver and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I made all the way to week 10. I looked forward, see what bye week, see who I was playing and stuff like that coming up. And then I decided, okay, I need to make some adjustments now because our trade deadline's week 12. So I did. One of the trades I did was I went and I talked to him. And this is a trade partner that I've talked to with before and stuff like that. We've established a connection. I ended up trading Tajay Spears and a 2025 third for Cade Otton.
Oh, that's a solid trade.
So all I have is Sam Laporta and Ben Sinnott. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, Kate, Sam Laporta's coming up. He's down in the bottom of the list.
This is a super flex league?
I think so.
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, he needed a young run. He needed young youth on his team and obviously a pick. So, I mean, we did that, and it's worked out for both of us, Tajay Spears coming back, and he's doing really good. And then you get people who try to trade you things like James Conner and Aaron Jones, 2 29-year-old running backs for Kenneth Walker, 25.
Right.
And you're just like, why? And those people who are doing that they're trying, and I get it, you know what I mean? But like, this particular person is in the top 3 of the league.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
Why would I give you the younger player when you're in the top 3? If you want my player and you're at the top of the list, you have to overpay for him.
Correct. And this goes down to how you value your own players, right? But like I will say, if you are overvaluing your own players, you're not going to find very many trade partners
at all.
You have to be fair about this. And honestly, even if you're in first place and your dudes are just dominating, right? Okay, cool. So you might have a reason to overvalue your players, but if you're trying to make a trade, just realize that not everybody's going to value your players as high as you are.
Yep.
And number 2, you're already at the top of the standings. So everybody below you is looking to try to come up or looking to build. It's not like you can trade your mid-tier players for their best players. That's never going to work, but people try it all the time, Kerry.
You can't try to take somebody's best player that's at the bottom of the list without overcompensating for it. And if you're at the bottom of the list and you're listening to this, if you don't want to give up your player, don't give up your player.
Do not.
You don't have to. If you're sitting on, let's say for however reason this happens to you, you have Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
You're in 9th place, and you have no chance of really pushing forward anymore, right? If somebody offers you, I'll give you a player and I'll give you Jacoby Myers in the first for your Jamar Chase. You're not going to be able to use them this year anyway. Don't do it.
No, you hold that, man.
The hell with that. Yeah, you high value players are high value players for a reason. And if a higher ranked person wants your high value player, they need to pay double to triple what they're worth.
That's right, guys. And also,
it's because you're already out.
That's right. And also, when you're trying to rebuild, you don't have to rebuild from zero. No, if your only player is Justin Jefferson, that is a cornerstone player that you can build around. Yeah, you know what I mean? A lot of these teams like Carolina, they have in real life, they have some young dudes and their record sucks. But they have some young dudes, and I promise you, they're not going to trade these young dudes. They're going to build around them.
Yeah, they are. And it's just, these are things you need to keep an eye on. So, for instance, I made another trade with a guy who was in bottom of the barrel. He needed draft picks. So I gave him a first round and a second round next year, straight up for Devon Achane, right? Because I asked him about him, what would he want for him? And that's the trade he sent me. And I said, hey, okay. Not a problem because I needed a running back.
That's right. And you're a contender.
I'm
contending. You needed a running back.
Yeah, I have no problem. Picks. I got no problem trading a first and second for Devon Achane.
Oh, I would do it right now if I was a contender.
Yeah, because I had 2 good running backs and I had some backups that were at RB2s and 3s. And he said, hey, and that's it. That's what it is. Don't overvalue your draft picks. Okay? I don't mean don't overvalue them. Don't rely on them as much as you think, because it is a draft pick. You're picking a rookie. The rookie can pan out, it cannot pan out. But if you're rebuilding, you're looking years away.
Draft picks are a bit of a roulette wheel.
It is
how I like to look at it. Right?
It really, really is, because you don't know
Well, look at Caleb Williams versus Jaden Reed this year, or Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels was going to pick 8, 9, 10 in drafts, and Caleb Williams was going 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly. Or even, I mean, we can even look back at our water bet. Malik Neighbors versus Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the first ones off the board. Malik Neighbors wasn't far behind him
because he went to the Giants.
Yeah, because he went to the Giants, but Malik Neighbors has outperformed
so far. I'm dying to see how those two, just for that example in particular, I can't wait to see at the end of the year how they both shake out.
Yeah,
because it seems like it's switching now.
Yeah, one had a much better opportunity to start. No, one was set in a much better position to succeed. They had a better quarterback on the Cardinals. They have a tight end that could pull targets, and at the time they had somebody else that could pull targets off to open him up.
Right, but dog, I'm saying the Giants threw it 58 times a game to Neighbors in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And then ever since the concussion, now it seems like Marvin Harrison and Kyler are getting on the same page finally.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I meant by switching.
Yeah.
Is like that's why I can't wait till the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these dudes have the same stats. Like the way the trajectory of the season is going for both of these teams, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, me either. It's just Kyler Murray. As much as I love Kyler Murray to death, he's great for fantasy, and he can throw the football a lot and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, him and Marvin Harrison Jr. just they're having issues with that. Remember we talked earlier on another episode about mind melding between a quarterback and a receiver.
Right.
They're having issues with that, and some like they'll do one game where he just crushes it, then they'll go the next 2 or 3 games where he just doesn't do anything. And I like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's just when it comes to picking, draft picks are good. If you're low man on the totem pole, draft picks are great because they're usable for 2 reasons. 1, drafting rookies. Okay. 2, the lower down you are, the better off your draft pick is going to be. 2, you could trade your first round draft pick, which will be phenomenal, worth so much more if you're at the bottom of the barrel than the first round draft pick you got from the guy who finished top 3. You know what I mean? So your draft pick, when it gets closer and closer to football time, after the season's over, people start getting hyped and amped and all this stuff. The closer it gets to the draft, the more valuable those draft picks are.
Agreed. And just I made notes of this because I want to talk to the diners out here. So in one league, the one league that I'm in on, I said there were a few earlier, my bad. So one of the leagues I'm all in on. All right. I just want to try to explain how, some people are scared of trading. Some people are nervous about it. Some people think they don't have to. But for me, I identified last week that I'm in this league, right?
Yeah.
So it was more like 2 weeks ago, but these are the trades I made in the last 2 weeks. I traded for Travis Kelce, David Montgomery, and Calvin Ridley. Okay. I gave up a first, a second, Ray Davis, and Luke McCaffrey in total for these 3 guys. Okay. This week in particular, this is the first week that I had them all. Okay. Travis Kelce got a 20.4, Montgomery got a 12.1, and Ridley got a 23.9. That's 56.4 total fantasy points from those 3 new additions to my team. Okay.
That's pretty good.
The guy I'm playing had the same record as me. The margin of victory that I won by this week was 33.5. So without these guys, I went back and looked at who I would have been starting. I would have took the L.
Yep.
And so at this time of the year, if you can identify, that was so important to me, right? I had to do the math and look at this, right? Because it made my trades feel validated. And you know what? I didn't have to mortgage the house either. Okay. I'm talking about Ray Davis, a couple of picks, and Luke McCaffrey for 56.4 fantasy points this week.
Christ.
Okay. So, and it helped. And again, my trade partner, it helped him too, because he's not in it. And he got some youth. He's got some picks. And now he's going to rebuild too. And that just goes to the overall health of the league. But I just wanted to point out to the diners, this is the type, if you're in it and you see, okay, matter of fact, this week, right? I made the Montgomery Ridley trade the week before. This week, I had Njoku on a bye.
Yep.
And I was sitting there looking at Colby Parkinson at an estimated 4.6 points. And I said, oh my God. And I knew I had to win this week. Me and this guy have the same record. This is going to come down to, this is it. And I'm in. And so I said, you know what? Colby Parkinson is not going to cut it. I looked at the waiver wire. I'm like, oh, this is doo-doo butter. So I went and I found the Travis Kelce manager. And he happened to be, not a contender. And I'm like, ooh, this seems ripe for a great trade. And so I went, and just like NFL teams do, I paid for the veteran, maybe even an overpay if you look at the dynasty rankings. But for contender rankings, listen, Travis Kelce, he went and dropped me a 20 burger. And it would have been Colby Parkinson, who maybe scored 2 fantasy points. And that is the difference, peeps. That's the difference. You have got to identify, if you're in it to win it, you have got to identify where you need to get better at the position, and go make yourself a trade. Don't be greedy. This isn't trying to steal. Don't fleece anybody, but go get what your team needs. That's all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking at that guy you just played against, and he's second to last place, and he has, as it stands, he has the 1-1 overall draft pick that someone traded to him. Okay. But so he has 2 firsts, 3 seconds, 3 thirds, a fourth, and a fifth. So
wait, just for next year?
Just for next year.
Oh, now that's a rebuild, baby.
That's what I'm saying. But ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to what we're telling you, okay, if you're rebuilding, this guy's doing it right, because now he's got
100%.
Yeah, he's got assets not only to draft but to trade now. So as the season gets going, and once it's over, you get back to preseason, you get back to the draft. Once the rookie draft and stuff comes out, and right before the rookie draft and things come out, there's a lot more data to players, and a lot of things can happen. And he is sitting on a gold mine of opportunity for people who may need actual help.
That's a good point. And you know what? Last year, before we were even podcasting, this is how, now, of course, it takes a little bit of help, just like for any NFL team. It takes a little bit of help. But this is how I ended up with Neighbors and Harrison.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because I had a bunch of first-round picks and second-round picks. Mm-hmm. And then I made trade packages. For example, it might have been like Josh Jacobs before the Green Bay trade. When Josh Jacobs was on the Raiders, yep. I believe it was Josh Jacobs and 2 seconds, but I parlayed it into a first. Or you can take 2 firsts, and I parlayed it into the 3rd pick of the draft. So I took 2 firsts. It might have been like the 7th and the 5th, for example, and I got it to the 3rd. And then, of course, I had some help because pick number 2 took somebody else. Neighbors fell to me. That was it. This is how this stuff works, diners.
That's right. You traded like Devon Achane and swap pick.
Dude, I made so many off-season trades because I finished last.
Yep.
I finished last.
And he had my pick. No, I finished last. And you had my pick because I traded you Chris Olave and 2 firsts for Breece Hall.
Yeah, that was the Breece Hall trade.
On a drunk night that we decided to make a podcast.
I mean, excuses are like, but
it's not
just saying.
Nothing. Whose player is still playing?
That's right. That's right. Good point. But this is what I'm trying to say, diners. It's like picks. Picks aren't just for picks. You can parlay picks into other assets.
They're currency.
That's right. That's right. And so, just keep that in mind.
Look what I paid for Devon Achane, a first and a second.
Yeah.
Outright. So that's in an entire different league, and it's to an entire different manager, but or no, actually, it's to the same manager in an entire different league. So, I mean, he's doing what needs to be done because he decided last week, I think it was when he started making all these trades, he decided my team's not going to make it. I need to do something about it now, and he just started shotgunning trades out to people.
That's what I'm saying. This is the week. Most leagues, it's week 12 trade deadline. It's going into week 10.
Yep.
You have to know if you're in or out.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research. Look at your remaining schedules.
Yes,
Listen, okay, Diners.
Biggest thing you can do.
I'll just drop this info right now because there's no better time than now. These are the bye weeks remaining. Okay. Now, up until this week, half of the league, 16 teams have been on bye. In just the next 3 weeks, the other half of the league is on bye in just 3 weeks now. And it's the most important 3 weeks. This is playoff time. This is trade deadline time. This is crunch time. And half the league still has buys. Okay. So let me just give you the list. This next week, Arizona, Carolina, New York Giants, Tampa Bay. Okay. Then the next week, this is crucial. Week 12, Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, New Orleans, New York Jets. Woo, baby.
Week 12 was brutal for me. Trade deadline.
Then week 13, the NFL's like, all right, we hurt all the fantasy managers. We'll give them a gift. No bye weeks. Then the last week before the playoffs, okay, Baltimore, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, New England, and Washington. Folks, Diners, listen close. This half of the league that has bye weeks over the next 3 weeks, this is a good part of the league. These are teams at the top of the division. This is top fantasy players. This is crucial.
So that depth comes in handy.
This is when your depth will be tested, okay? And plus there's injuries that we still don't know are coming because they will come. So take it into consideration, but like, man, this is these bye weeks.
It's not good.
They jammed half the league into 3 bye weeks when they had 5 weeks to do the other half of the league. It's wild.
It's kind of rude.
It really is rude, but
what can you do now?
I think it's because of betting and fantasy's blown up. Like, if you think the NFL isn't in on throwing wrenches into fantasy and betting, you've got to be crazy, okay? Last thing I had, these are just some trade block candidates that have been put up in multiple leagues that I'm in, just to give people an idea of who they might be able to trade for. Breece Hall, James Conner, Cortland Sutton, CMC, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Isaiah Pacheco, Mark Andrews. I mean, that sounds like a starting lineup. Boy, I'd be happy with that starting lineup.
Pretty good.
Boy, you ain't lying. I mean, but these are over multiple leagues. I just wanted to share with the Diners that these are people that you might be able to get for, even if they're not on your trade block in your league. These are still people that, if you put the right trade together, you might be able to go and snag. These are definitely pieces on a team that I'd like to have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm currently trying to get James Conner right now. I'm just waiting on more people to hit yes.
Is that why you're not paying attention to the show?
No, actually going here, going over these bye weeks and putting different players in.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing, folks. Sorry.
All right.
Anyway, I'm back. I'm almost done.
You're in here?
We'll stop. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Thank you. Do you have a toast report for us this week?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and jump into that?
Yeah, let's cruise through
All right,
it here.
Let's get to the toast report.
I told him earlier there wasn't a lot, but there's more than I thought. Commanders running back Brian Robinson with a hamstring got in a limited practice on Tuesday. He said after that he believes he has a great chance to play versus the Eagles on Thursday night. Keep an eye on that because that is an early game. Yeah, so definitely keep an eye on that. If he does play, I would slot him into my starting running back position so that way it's already done. You know, I don't know if you guys know that, but it's always best to your earlier starts, put them in their actual position so that way you have a free flex spot open in case something happens. Moving on, the Chiefs are planning to designate running back Isaiah Pacheco to return from IR this week, according to insider Jordan Schultz. That means Pacheco will get back on the practice field, although we're still probably not going to play. I don't expect him to play against the Bills on Sunday, coming off that, the lengthy layoff he was on. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport said about a week ago that Pacheco was targeting a late November return, which could be week 12 or 13. So it's going to be past your bye. That's going to be trade deadline or past your trade deadline. If you can get him, I would, but I wouldn't expect him to crush it on his first game back. But once he gets his feet going, he should be good. Dak Prescott's done for the season. Jerry Jones confirmed it on his weekly radio spot Tuesday that quarterback Dak Prescott will have a season-ending surgery on his injured hamstring Wednesday. That injury in itself threw me through a huge loop because I'm a CeeDee Lamb owner and I had the CeeDee Dak stack. And I'm trying to trade CeeDee because in this particular league, I am in the top tier of the players, but that was because of CeeDee Lamb. So I'm trying to trade him, but it's really hard to trade him because you want what he's worth, but at the same time, you're not going to get that because, you're just not. Moving on, Marshawn Lloyd, with his ankle injury, is expected to return to practice this week, according to the Athletics' Matt Schneidman. Lloyd has been dealing with injuries since the summer and has played just 10 snaps this far for the season. If the rookie can get and stay healthy, he still has a chance to ascend to the number 2 spot on Green Bay's depth chart, but he has work to do to get there for now. So Lloyd is only worth stashing in deep leagues. And I mean, I would, if he's on your waiver, I'd pick him up and hold him if you have space for him, stuff like that. See if he ever develops into anything. He's not too bad at all. Now, this one in particular, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to call the moldy toast just because it's been so long, and it's the same thing that happens all the time with him. It is T. Higgins. It's T. Higgins. He is now day-to-day, which is pretty much his entire resume. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor labeled wide receiver T. Higgins, who had a quad injury, day-to-day. Higgins participated in Monday's walkthrough, although Taylor said not to read too much into that. Still, between today's news and Taylor's previously saying Higgins was close to playing in Thursday night's game versus the Ravens, it looks like Higgins is nearing a return. We're tentatively projecting him to play against the Chargers on Sunday, but keep an eye out on it. I had T. Higgins last year. I drafted T. Higgins last year. I dropped T. Higgins last year. So
I love T. Higgins.
I love him to death, but
I have him on half of my teams this year.
I might have traded him or something, but it's just
it just makes me sad.
It's a bench spot that you're absorbed on. He's a great wide receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's just so I don't think he's ever finished an entire year.
Listen, this was not planned, folks, but I just looked down at my notes when we go game by game, and I wrote next to the Cincinnati game, I'm so mad at T. Higgins.
Right, I mean, it would have been a great game for him to be back in, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, dude. That was my moldy toast because he's just been a constant state of decay on him. Moving on, Aaron Jones is expected to come back week 11, which I think he did. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. I just dropped something and it just messed all my stuff up. Oh, God, I lost my place. No. Okay.
I got to tell you, with Aaron Jones, he got carted off.
Yeah, I'm back
but
to
then came back in the game and
it.
played.
Yeah.
Who does that? How
Yeah.
does that happen?
He I don't know. I mean, DK did it before, but he had to poop.
Well, that was a poop.
But Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said Monday that he expects running back Aaron Jones-Reyes to be ready for this weekend's game versus the Titans. Jones missed most of the second half in Week 10 win over the Jaguars, but was able to return late in the fourth quarter. He'll likely be limited in practice this week, so keep an eye on that. Real quick, let's talk about that game.
Which game?
The Vikings versus the Jaguars.
Yep.
I don't know if Aaron Jones is that big of part of the offense or not, but the Jaguars defense was unbelievable. It's just,
Which they're the worst in the league.
yeah. And they like almost beat Minnesota because of their defense.
Yeah, their offense sure didn't look good.
No, without Trevor Lawrence, it was not looking good because Trevor Lawrence was inactive, obviously, because we just talked about it. His left shoulder he's officially inactive. It sounds like he's still deciding whether or not to have surgery on his shoulder. I think it was an AC joint issue. So if he does decide to go with that surgery, that's probably the end of the season for him.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Sam Laporta, shoulder injury. He was knocked out of Sunday night's game against the Texans with a shoulder injury. Head coach Dan Campbell said afterward that Laporta is believed to be dealing with an AC joint sprain.
Oh,
but
boy.
we'll undergo more testing on Monday.
A couple of
it's not
AC
something like
joints cutting it up.
no. It's not something like he's going to be out for weeks. It's like maybe he'll miss this week. We'll see. Campbell added. That was hard to read. We should get another update on Laporta's status soon, so keep an eye on that. It was incredibly hard to read. So Dalton Kincaid hurt his knee, suffered a knee injury in the first half of Sunday's game versus the Colts. He's officially questionable to return. He'll update his status.
He's been questionable all year.
I know, but come on, dude. All the tight ends have been really.
I own him.
So do I. Officially questionable to return. Just keep an eye out on him. Now, waivers. If Dawson Knox is on your waivers, this could be a big time pickup, just for the sheer fact that Josh Allen loves throwing it to Dawson Knox.
It really is his guy.
Yeah, like if you can get Dawson Knox off your waivers and you're needing a flex or
Keon Coleman's out too.
Yeah, definitely go for Dawson Knox then. So,
Keon Coleman's already been ruled out for this next week. So
yeah, well there you go. There's a couple of updates in here that were happening during the game. Like he returned to the start of the second half, then he exited again and is now doubtful to return. That was during the game. Tank Bigsby hurt his ankle. And he injured his ankle in the first half of Sunday's game versus the Vikings and is officially questionable to return. They'll update his status as the week goes on. Keep an eye on that. He returned later in the first quarter, but still something to keep an eye on. We talked about Trevor Lawrence and, oh man, everybody's favorite, Amari Cooper. He was inactive for the game with the Colts. Wide receiver Keon Coleman was out with his own wrist injury. Buffalo's down to wide receivers Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins, Curtis Jones, Jalen Virgil, and
Curtis Samuel?
Yeah, Curtis Samuel. What did I say?
Curtis Jones?
Oh, my bad.
Sounds like a gas station attendant.
That could be. And or somebody who could play the blues real good.
Ooh,
and
like
and Tyler Shavers, Shakir and tight end Dalton Kincaid are the team's biggest targets, best target bets today.
That was a mouthful.
It was, dude. There were some hard ones to read, and that is your Toast Report again. Dalton Kincaid is out. Go ahead and pick up Dawson Knox.
Even has some mold on that Toast Report today.
That's T. Higgins, dude. I'm telling you, man.
That's that old toast.
Dude, I love T. Higgins to death, dude, but Jesus Christ, man, he kills me.
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
We have a trade that went through.
Do we?
Breece Hall has moved. I made a move.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a league I'm not contending in. So again, Diners, this is what I'm saying. Be aware, so Breece Hall, though he does have, I did like the fact that the Jets have the easiest schedule for the rest of the season against running backs. However, I don't trust the Jets play calling. Even with this new, it seems, well, plus, let's start out here. They picked up Devontae Adams, okay? So that's automatically, Brees used to, what I loved about Brees was his receptions, okay? His receptions are what I loved about Brees. Plus, he was awesome, okay? However, they picked up Devontae Adams, so he's going to get more targets, okay? Now, whatever this new offensive coordinator is doing, it's not helping Brees. And so I decided, okay, I'll move Brees. Excuse me, people. I'm so sorry. And I'm distracted. Carrie is being so extra. He's being so extra.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people why you're being extra?
Oh, because I have a so in one of our leagues to help with the trading issues and stuff like that, because one player was getting kind of fleeced a lot. We decided to enact a veto clause, or a veto trade, and I know a lot of people aren't big fans of it, but most of the people in our league are very accepting of these things because it's really to help this person not get fleeced anymore because they won't take advice from anybody. I have a trade currently going on in this, and I need people to accept or pass the trade because it's a fair trade. I just need people to pass the trade. So Dan over here is in that league, and he is yet to push anything on it. And the trade he's telling y'all about right now is another league that we're both co-commissioners in, and I have to process it. So now I'm holding his trade hostage until he pushes mine through with a yes.
Well,
I'm not really.
I haven't voted on your trade yet because I've been busy trying to do a podcast.
I also like to try to give these trades a little bit of time before I process them.
You also haven't been paying a lot of attention tonight.
I have been paying attention.
That's up for discussion.
Is it?
Very much so.
Oh, what did I say?
So,
you know what? Let's just get to it. I'm not the one who left the room.
Okay.
During my only segment.
Sorry, potty break. All right. So, anyways, not a contender. I am. Actually, I think I'm almost last. Second to last. Breece Hall. Easy running back thing. Don't believe in the Jets. Don't believe in what they got going on. Devontae Adams kind of muckies the water. Did I say muckies?
You did say muckies.
I think it's muddies the water.
Yes.
And also combined with muck up. I just said muckies. So there's a new word.
We're getting the Buckies.
Oh my God. Okay. But not. Okay. So I sent out Breece Hall, and I got back Zay Flowers and a first. I'm okay with that. How do you feel about that trade?
I mean, I think it's a fair trade. I say that, but as another Breece Hall owner, I love Breece Hall, but the Jets just are not doing it right. And I'd like to move on from him, but I doubt anybody's going to give me a good running back to fill his position because I don't think.
Sometimes you got to look at trades at what the perceived value of Breece Hall is, right? Breece Hall is a stud. We can all agree on that.
No, I get what you're saying. I do, but for my situation with Breece Hall is if I got rid of him, who do I replace him with? You get what I mean? So
Sure.
Ramondre Stevenson? No, I have Breece Hall and Joe Mixon.
Right.
I have stellar running backs.
For the record, I did trade this guy to a contender. Matter of fact, I think he's in second place.
Yeah.
So this is going to bolster his running back room. He already has receivers. He still has 3 stud receivers to put in his starting lineup. So, like, I was looking at this trade like, okay, I got a little draft capital. I got some youth at receiver. He got himself a youthful stud running back.
Top 10 receiver right now.
And so, these are the types of trades, Diners, that, Nobody tried to fleece anybody. Both teams won. These are the trades that I like. Even if I'm not the commissioner of this league, I just love seeing trades where both teams win. Nothing warms my heart better than a trade where both teams are winning. And I feel
I'd ask for a second.
Back?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but nothing warms my heart better than a trade that helps both teams.
Well, he didn't.
Moving on.
No, it was a good trade. Moving on. I think we're on to taking inventory.
Let's take some inventory.
The Cincinnati-Baltimore game was outstanding. And a lot of people I know blame Joe Burrow, say, oh, he's not a closer, he can't finish this and that.
Whatever.
And, dude, they were up to 21-3 or something like that in the first half, and they lost by 1 point. It's clearly not him, because he only missed 4 passes of 36. He had a QBR rating of 120. And if you go back and look, there's nothing more he could have done to win this game. His defense, Cincinnati's defense, which has always been an issue, had let him down. Because had he had, the defense that they had when he made the Super Bowl run, it'd have been a wildly different story. But he doesn't. Their defense is not good. Their defense is one that you target in the fantasy world. And there's just not much you could do about it. He threw so well. He did so good. And he just, he couldn't get it done. Well,
Joe Burrow's looking possessed.
I say he only missed a few, but he went 34 for 56. He threw 56 times. 34 completions for 428 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 carries for 6 yards. Right?
The week before that against the Raiders, he threw 5 tutties.
Yeah, he's great. He's doing awesome. He's on fire right now. He's the quarterback 3 and 3 number all.
I mean, Joe Burrow is looking like a man on a mission. Yeah, that's for sure.
This is the guy I traded Raheem Mostert last year and Amari Cooper for. Finally starting to pay off.
So the Giants-Carolina game, I got a little story about this. First of all, shout out to Germany. Okay. They embraced NFL football with Americans' 2 worst teams, potentially 2 worst teams. They embraced it. I saw a sign that instead of Danny Dimes, it was just a cardboard sign, and somebody wrote with Sharpie, Danny Euros.
Yeah.
Instead of Danny Dimes, it was Danny Euros. And I just love that.
That's pretty good.
I absolutely love that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, okay, I am a sicko. Okay. So this Sunday, I opened the restaurant, my real life restaurant, and I was getting brunch set up. And for some reason, I remembered that there was a 9:00 game. I can never remember there's an early game. Okay, I just can't. I don't know what it is, but this week I did. It's probably because I have neighbors. I have Chuba. I have Danny Dimes. That was probably why. Okay, so I flipped it on while we were prepping for brunch and getting the restaurant set up. Man, I enjoyed the hell out of this game. I can't even tell you why. It just gave me joyful bliss. First of all, watching Chuba, as a public Chuba lover, watching Chuba in this game, I kept smiling. I kept dancing to myself. It was just awesome. I just loved it. I also got the opposite of that where I was full tilt with neighbors. Danny Dimes or Danny Euros could not throw the ball. And then on top of it, when the Giants did get in the red zone, I remember neighbors had to go to the blue medical tent for a concussion, check. And the Giants were marching down. They got all the way down. They got to the 5-yard line. Neighbors came back in the game from the medical tent, and all the other receivers pulled him by the arm off because they ran it in. That was when Danny Dimes ran his tutty in. It was full tilt. So you got a little bit of everything. I got bliss. I got tilt.
I mean, hell, you got to watch the game on Sunday.
We got overtime.
Yeah, but you got
which I was totally pumped for because I needed all the fantasy points I can get. But of course, the battle of 2-7 teams will fumble off the opening kick.
That sucks so much.
and then of course, because of the fumble, the other team just had to kick a field goal.
That was Tyrone Tracy, right?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. He's so good.
He is so good. But the thought of, normally when you're rooting for overtime for fantasy purposes, none of that happened because it was the Giants and Carolina.
Absolutely.
You had a fumble, and then you just had an easy field goal. So nobody scored any extra points from an overtime.
In exactly how you would expect it to.
Exactly. All right. Anyways, Kansas City, Denver. Everybody's tired of Kansas City. Can we agree?
Dude, it's just it's overplayed. I mean, they're not good. If you really sit down and look at it, they're not a good undefeated team. They're not playing good football. They're getting very lucky. You could call it, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not getting calls. Okay? They have a right tackle that's...
There's that too. They find a way to win.
Yeah, you could call it that. They find a way to win, but they have a right tackle that does false starts almost every single play.
He brought this up last episode.
I know, but it's true.
All right.
He does it almost every single play, and he does not get called for it. But if the other team lines up wrong, you'll get hit with a damn penalty every single time, and it's unfair.
I feel like
there's holding all the time on Kansas City side. It's like, I know Kansas City gets called for flags and penalties, but it's the ones that don't get called that win them the game.
I'm interested to see. The public is on to this now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people talking
egregious.
about this. I'm interested to see how the NFL changes their script, if you may.
They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be the most watched Super Bowl.
I just with the penalties and the refs. I'm wondering if they start to turn into the most penalized team to overcompensate.
I don't care. You could be the least amount. It's the penalties that win them the game.
Yeah. I thought a blocked field goal was so on brand. They win all their games because of defense and special teams. The offense really isn't winning them the game.
Not good, dude.
And so I just thought it kind of made me smile or more chuckle to myself when they blocked the field goal to win the game. That it's like, you know what? That sounds about right. It wasn't because any world beaters on the offense. It's because the defense and special teams has been holding them down. But let's not forget, Peyton Manning, his second Super Bowl was complete dog doo-doo. But that Von Miller-led Denver defense came through and they tapped everybody's ass. So,
Dude,
just on brand.
Speaking of field goals, real quick, how about what's his name? Koo.
Oh, Youngway.
9 points worth.
He
would have won us the game.
Day.
He's never in his career missed that many in a row.
No.
9 points, dude.
He had a brutal day.
I'm a Falcons fan, and that was devastating because for whatever reason, the Saints defense showed up, and the Falcons couldn't do anything about it.
It's a division game. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the Saints. But and then
no. Listen,
MVS
Diners
showed up.
Well, yeah, but don't get me started on that dust bucket.
But those 9 points would have won us the game.
Yes. Now, I will say, I live by a rule where when a team fires their head coach,
oh yeah, the next week they're great.
You get one game where everybody's jacked up. And New Orleans came out in a division game at home in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. No, that's Atlanta. What's the New Orleans Dome? The Superdome. And they got some Superdome. So good for them.
Don't say it like that.
Oh.
It's gross.
It's true.
Yeah, it was 2017. Had he made a third of those field goals, and we went in overtime. But I mean,
The Superdome.
yeah. So there's no reason for this dude to miss these field goals. There's no wind. There's no nothing. He
Right.
just didn't make those field goals. And
Fire your coach. Superdome.
no, our coach is doing great. What the hell are you talking
No,
about?
not Atlanta. I'm talking to New Orleans.
Yeah, that's what they did, and they won. And it's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. Anyway, moving on.
He's bent. Okay. Pittsburgh, Washington. What a slobber knocker. George Pickens. Look,
Great.
we
23
told
years old.
everybody on this podcast
Yes, we did.
the addition of Mike Williams was going to help George Pickens. And listen,
Absolutely did.
it absolutely
And
did.
look at Mike Williams. Touchdown.
He did get a tutty too, did he? Because then everybody compensates for Pickens.
Well, here's the thing: is the Raheem Mostert effect, okay? And when I say that, I mean yes, he's an older player, but because of his injuries and his lack of mileage on his legs, he still has decent legs on him. He just, if he can stay healthy, he will put up numbers. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He will. It's just he was always injured for like the last 3 years. Back when he was on the Chargers, he was great. Then he gets injured like halfway through the season. Great, injured halfway through the season and an injury. But this year he started off injured. And then he went to the Jets. And now he got to play on a team that threw him the ball, and he's doing great.
All right. Minnesota, TJ Hawkinson, he looked good. He's still knocking the rust off, but he looked good. Did you see any TJ Hawk?
No, I didn't get to see much of that game, but it was Jacksonville's defense, for whatever reason, showed up.
I mean, a weirdo.
It
San
was
Francisco.
so crazy.
Listen, Baker, a.k.a. Laser Mayfield, he's a beast, dude.
Did everything he could.
Did you see the 5-yard stiff arm on Bosa?
Oh, it was great. He drug him down that field, dude.
He didn't drag him.
No, but it's like this. At
But,
arms length.
yeah.
And
And then threw, it was a duck throw, but still, with Joey Bosa on your
fact that he
side,
was-
like, what are you going to do?
the fact he was able to keep him completely extended out.
Yeah, dude.
That's the
And Rashad White caught the ball, and man, it was just dope.
magic, dude. It was pure magic.
He eluded 3 different sacks at the end of the game. Just from my eyes, when I was watching, I counted 3 sacks. He just does the dip down, chuck a dude off.
Yeah.
I mean, he does the juke shuffle. This guy, I mean, Baker Mayfield, love you, dog. Dallas and Philly, there's nothing to talk about except for Cooper Rush. Is he the Eagles' bugaboo, or is he a bugadoo-doo?
It's not good.
Is the Eagles the bugaboo, or
I don't know what the bugaboo
Doo-doo.
is, but
the bugaboo is like the one team? That's what people are talking about, right? It's like, well, he did so good except for against the Eagles. And then his first game this year, it's against the Eagles. So there are these people out here who's saying, well, it's because it's the Eagles. Me personally, I lean on the side. He's doo-doo. It's not a bugaboo.
well,
He's doo-doo.
CeeDee Lamb missed that touchdown. Wouldn't matter too much, but it would help with the momentum of the game, their confidence. Cooper Rush did go like 5-1 last year when he came in. So I mean, he
It's
is
a different Cowboys team.
It's a way different Cowboys team. But I mean, he is capable of scoring points.
Speaking of scoring points, Arizona, whoo, baby, they're peaking at the right time.
Oh man.
Buckle in. Arizona is peaking at the right time.
Arizona just crushed any hopes anybody had for Aaron Rodgers being any kind of good football player this year.
And I didn't fairly take into consideration last year for Kyler. I'll admit, after his injury he came back, and there was all that Call of Duty shit, and
Mm-hmm.
really in real life, if you think about it, it's going to take you some time to get acclimated with this OC. But clearly, with this offseason and this year, they're clicking.
Yep, got me 28.74 points. Just for those of you who don't know, me and Dan actually played each other in a league this week. He had Joe Burrow, and after Thursday, I was just like, ugh, this is going to be a terrible week for me.
Actually, I was feeling good after Thursday.
and then Kyler Murray, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much
Sunday,
for
it was
those 2
squashed.
rushing touchdowns. Those 2 rushing touchdowns are awesome.
Yeah, I just Kyler Murray clearly, like him and his OC are now like they're on the same page, and it's just fun to watch.
Please get McBride some touchdowns,
bro.
Please.
Did you see the play where he hurdled the dude?
No, he did.
Listen,
if
y'all did not see it, no, it wasn't just a hurdle. Let me try to paint this picture.
Did he Saquon him?
Not quite as good. He didn't
Not
reverse
backwards.
hurdle.
But I'm talking like
No, now listen. Let me try to paint this picture. Trey McBride catches the ball. Some dude tries to tackle him, and he truck sticks him. And then right after he trucks him over, there's another receiver or DB right behind who came at him, and he just hurdles the man within a sequence. Man.
Oh man, he messed. Hold on, go back.
You see what I'm talking about?
Let me go back. Yeah. It lagged a little bit. Hold on. Oh, boom. Oh, get off of me. Okay, here he goes.
Dude,
he looks. It's insane how big and athletic he is. Man.
Yes,
dude, he's just like
yes.
He's like he was trying to kick him in the mouth.
He made the dude look real foolish, and
yeah, he made him look small, man.
So I actually got to see that live, and at that point, I'm like, wow. Also in that game, Kyler Murray got sacked so hard his helmet flew off.
Dude, that was a boom.
If that was Tua, he's done.
That was a boomstick, dude. That was bad. That was real bad. Shoot, Tua being the big dumb he is, trying to tackle somebody who intercepted a ball.
Saw that too.
Hit him with his head. Dumb. It's like, Tua, please just stop.
And then Chicago.
Womp womp.
As of today, in my notes, I have gross / Chicago is broken. And then just today, fired the OC.
They'll probably be really good this week. And then the following week,
it's not the head coach. The head coach is still sorry. He'll be the next.
Yeah,
maybe after the season, but the OC is a start.
Yeah, they I don't know. If you listen to our podcast from day one, you know how I feel about Caleb Williams, and it's literally, I think, up until last week, his stats for compared to Justin Fields' year 3 starting, or like when he was official starter stats, are virtually identical. And I told you, Caleb Williams is Justin Fields 2.0. The only problem is everybody says, oh, well, they put so much talent around him to succeed. Justin Fields didn't have that. But you know what they didn't do was give him an offensive line. They thought Caleb Williams scrambling ability and stuff like that was going to.
Well, no.
Was going to help him.
They have 4 dudes that are hurt.
Well, even before that, all season.
Well, I'm saying if you have 4 offensive linemen that are hurt,
yeah, I get that, but
maybe they tried to give him an offensive line.
No, they didn't. They just kept the same one. They kept the same offensive lines. I'm telling you.
No, they added to it.
Did they?
At least one.
Okay.
One big time. I think they paid one big time offensive lineman to come join.
I don't know. All I know is they paid a ton of money for wide receivers, and Caleb Williams to me is not an NFL quarterback.
Look out, Cliff Kingsbury.
Okay.
Leaving Washington, going to take that Chicago job next year. It's got to be attractive.
Okay. I still don't think Caleb Williams is going to be a better quarterback.
I know. This is not an argument about Caleb Williams because I know you're a hater. I'm just saying.
No, I'm a realist.
I'm talking about Chicago in general. This isn't about Caleb Williams. I'm just saying that's an attractive job for the next head coach.
It is 100%. You're absolutely right because they have a lot of talent on that team, and their defense is pretty sturdy when it wants to be. But Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams, and he got sacked 9 times. Yeah, so I thought it was a scram. I thought he had wheels on him. Y'all, what happened? He got sacked 9 times. That's what happened.
I mean, he looks like he's scared and running for his life.
Looks like a child out there trying to play. Moving on.
All right, y'all. Anything else you want to add, Kerry? I mean, we've covered trades. This is trading season part 2.
Yeah.
I think we've covered so many trades.
Oh, yeah, we did. Just a recap on the trades. Make your decision before trade deadline if you're going to push or not. If you're on the bottom third, if you're on the bottom 1/3 of the league, like if you're in 10-man, if you're 8th, 9th, or 10th, I would push for next year. I would go ahead and start.
Well, you can still be 8th with a record. It really depends on the league's record,
still
right? if you're at the bottom and your record isn't one of the ones all bunched up,
Yeah,
it's probably time to think about
it
next
is.
year.
But like eighth is probably the hardest one to make your decision. But you have to remember, you got to go look at your schedule, look at your players, and all that stuff like that. More often than not, if you're in the 8th, 9th, or 10th position, it's because you're dealing with bad injuries and stuff like that and other things. So just, make your choices according to your schedule and according to how you want to play. If you're 9th and 10th, I would hang it up and start trading players for picks. So, but other than that, I would yeah, I mean, like we said, evaluate your team, make a real evaluation. You gotta hit hit the, there you go. Evaluate your team. If you're 9th or 10th place, 8th, 9th, or 10th, and you got bye weeks for your good players coming up, I would hang it up. I would hit the trade market hard.
Again, last time, Diners, these are the bye weeks still remaining. Arizona, Carolina, New York Giants, Tampa Bay.
That's this week, isn't it?
Atlanta, yes. Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, New Orleans, the Jets, Baltimore, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, New England, and Washington.
Yep. You just got also remember that playoffs are going to be I think they start week 15. So you're week 11 now. If you don't have a chance, if you don't think you can win 4 out right now, just go ahead and start putting these trades together. Keep your super duper stars and start trading your other players.
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please tune in to YouTube and Spotify at DFD Podcast. Please like, subscribe, rate, review. Go ahead and send it to a friend. Drop it in your fantasy football league's comments or in the chat. Tell them tune in. Got an interesting dynasty perspective, fantasy football perspective.
Yeah.
On IG and X, DFD_podcast. Hit us up on Facebook at DFD Pod. Please, guys, we really appreciate all the support.
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome.
Real quick before we sign off, if you have any trade questions, like if somebody sends you a trade you're unsure about, shoot us a DM. Well, you know what I mean? Shoot us a DM. Give us like a day or something like that, 24 hours, and we'll get back to you on what our opinion of it is. So, just shoot us a DM. Let us know what your situation is as far as the type of dynasty league you're in, if it's a 10-man, if it's a super flex, or if it's a full PPR. Send that information with us, and then let us know if you're trading a wide receiver, what your backup wide receivers are and stuff like that. Just the information we would need to help articulate a good response for you and stuff like that. We have no problem with helping people with their trades at all.
We love that.
Yeah, we do. So
it's just an open conversation, just like we do on this podcast.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
an open dialogue. Listen, Diners, we love you guys. Help us grow this thing. The more people we can get, to become diners and frequent diners, the better this whole thing is going to be for everybody, because we got some really cool stuff planned coming up here in the future. So the more the merrier. We love y'all. Good luck trying to figure out and navigate your next few weeks here. Remember, it's time to get off the pot or take that big ass dump. All right. So for Carrie, this is Dan. Diner's closed.
Thanks for stopping by.